Hey, it's Maximo and welcome to Maximo's Travels. In this video, I'll be providing an in-depth hotel review of the 4 Points by Sheraton at Tucson Airport. I'll be covering the hotel's location, its main facilities, such as the outdoor pool and spa, the exercise room, and covering our dining experiences at its restaurant, the Soul Bar and Grill. I'll review our dining experiences on the 3 or 4 times that we ate there for dinner and provide my thoughts in terms of the buffet breakfast. I'll provide details of the parking situation and uncover some of the noise issues that we experienced. I'll provide you with a room tour of these newly renovated hotel rooms. If you're planning to stay in Tucson, Arizona, join me on this informative and detailed hotel review. We stayed 7 nights in the 4 Points by Sheraton Tucson Airport Hotel. We booked this room about 6 months in advance. It was the most reasonably priced and reasonable quality hotel room we could find in Tucson, as there were thousands of people in Tucson for various international gem and bead shows. The hotel is located across the road from Tucson Airport, and I don't mean that literally, I mean actually it's across one road to the airport main terminal building. And whilst theoretically you could walk from the terminal building to the hotel does offer a complimentary minibus service so you can avoid crossing busy roads with suitcases and luggage in tow. And yes, that's the airport sign across the road from the hotel, lit up at night. The hotel is rated as a 3-star one, even though it has a swimming pool, a small gym and a restaurant, as well as a 24-hour front desk. The hotel room cost $149 a night, plus a $9 room tax, a $9 state tax, and a $4 county tax, making a total of $170 US, or around 270 Australian dollars. That room rate excluded breakfast, which you could get at the hotel restaurant for about $15 plus taxes per person, or around 30 Australian dollars per person per day. There's ample parking at this hotel, and it's located right next door to the main accommodation blocks. Some of it is even undercover, which is handy, especially on cold frosty nights or during the baking heat of the summer. And just over the other side of the hotel is the airport's long-term car park on one side and bushland on the other. About 4 weeks before we arrived, we tried to book an additional night at this hotel. The price had gone up to around about 280 US dollars, around about 450 Australian dollars. We decided to have the extra night elsewhere. And I've got to say, this is one of the few hotels I've stayed at that looks better at night than it is during the day. This is for a couple of reasons. One, it's relatively brightly lit. And secondly, Tucson's located in a desert. They don't have traditional gardens like we do in Australia. Their gardens consist of gravel, dirt, cactus and other succulents. There's very little grass, or there was some in the centre courtyard of the hotel complex, and the gardens sort of look dusty, grungy and a little bit rugged. This is a common feature across the whole of Tucson rather than just the hotel though. The reception area was manned 24 hours a day, but it was rather unremarkable. There was a very small shop next to it that sold a few snacks and some drinks. The lobby area was small, it only had a couple of chairs, and it was little used every time I went by there. They also did serve complimentary tea and coffee. Their business area, which was just a table and a few chairs, was also little used and only had one PowerPoint within sight. The exercise room had a few free weights and some cardio machines, a drink station, some towels, and probably not much else. Quite a small area. The mirrors make it look bigger than it actually is. The hotel featured an outdoor pool and spa, and this is a much more significantly inviting place to be. There was quite a large pool and a fairly handy spa. Both were heated, and it was interesting to see the steam coming off the pool in the early evening when the temperature dropped down. It was quite cold at the start of our stay. Temperatures ranged between -2 and about 8 degrees Celsius. By the end of the stay, our temperature range was around about 4 Celsius to 28, and I decided to have a swim. Oh, I'm sure the pool is heated, but it's awfully fresh. Not freezing, fresh. Refreshing even. Our last day at this hotel. 28 degrees today and I'm having a swim, so that's great. I was a little bit surprised that the pool was heated, especially because we were visiting in the middle of winter, but there were 1 or 2 people in the pool area and it was quite nice. I can only imagine how nice it'd be in the hot summer months here. I'm in the spa. The bubbles are broken, but it's very, very nice and warm in here. It's actually quite pleasant. There was one main restaurant at the hotel called Soul Bar and Grill. It served breakfast between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m, lunch between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m, and dinner between 3 p.m. and 10 p.m. each night. The bar closed at 11 p.m. The restaurant had a lot of seating, tables and chairs, private booths, and chairs at the bar. I don't think the restaurant was more than half full at any of the times that we attended. And I think the bar and restaurant were busier in the evenings than they were for breakfast in the mornings. There was quite a few people at the bar, especially on weekends. It was a fairly decent vibe here. The restaurant was located towards the front of the hotel complex, between reception and the outdoor pool area. I'd rate the Seoul restaurant around about 7 out of 10. We ate here on 4 different occasions, and it was good value for money and good eating if you chose the right food. This steak was $32 US, around 52 Australian dollars, quite expensive and a little bit tough. Joe had these vegetarian tacos, they were around about $12, and Joe said they were delicious. The Mexican food at this restaurant was particularly good and pretty good value for money. On the second night, Joe ordered some corn chips and some guacamole. The guacamole was truly delightful, and the corn chips were just so colourful. And she also ordered quesadillas. Looks nice, doesn't it? It's good. So I have tacos, corn tacos with beef and cream cheese and a really nice spicy sauce.
The next evening.
So that is my nachos. Looks very nice. And that mountain of food is Joe's apple salad. Crunchy apple salad. Is it crunchy?
It's a bit hard. I didn't want to have to check it.
Well, enjoy that.
Early the next morning.
We had a buffet breakfast at the Seoul restaurant on 3 or 4 occasions. The cost of this wasn't included in our room and it was around about 30 Australian dollars per person extra. It had the usual American breakfast fare of eggs, bacon, sausages, yogurt, fresh fruits, pastries, tea and coffee, as well as cereals and juices. And as you can see by the pictures on the screen, it was quite a dark area. But there was one key factor that set this place aside from somewhere that was quite average to somewhere that was reasonably good. And that is that they had a dedicated omelette chef available to take your order and make freshly made omelettes. One of the things that I noted about this restaurant, both in the mornings and the evenings, was that it was generally understaffed and staffed by some of the service staff in their 60s and 70s.
Meanwhile,
as stated, this hotel is located right next to the airport, and the sound of aircraft does penetrate the room, especially early in the mornings. I'm not really sure I conveyed how noisy that actually was in real life.
early the next morning.
at 7 a.m. on the first morning that we were there, that dickhead started working right outside our window. I mean, honestly, how could you sleep in that place? On other occasions, vacuum cleaners were howling after 8:30 p.m. at night. Our hotel room was located on the ground floor at the end of a block of units. One of the issues we faced was a self-closing door was constantly slamming at all hours of the day and night. That was quite annoying, and it did interrupt our sleep a fair bit. Our hotel room was located at the far end of the hotel complex. It took about a minute and a half to walk from our room to the main reception area. Here is a sped up view of the walk, and here is a map of the hotel complex, with the pool right in the middle. The corridor outside our room was long, dark, and beige. And at the end of the corridor, one could find an ice machine, and not much else. A double sliding door led outside our room to a very small and sad-looking veranda that contained the air conditioning unit and 2 chairs. The verandas on the upstairs units would probably be a little bit more usable. And here's the moment you've all been waiting for, the room tour. We were staying in room 118. The hotel's website says that the hotel was recently refurbished. If it was probably limited to new carpets, a coat of paint, and perhaps new bedding. The room was quite dark, given the dark carpets and walls and inadequate lighting in the room. The room was quite large, with adequate space all around. Plenty of room for suitcases, a fair bit of storage in the TV unit that included a microwave and a fridge. The air conditioning unit appeared new, it was quiet and effective, and the room was serviced every 3 days. So every 3 days the rubbish bins were emptied, 2 new bottles of water were supplied, and the towels were changed. Interestingly, after the 3rd day, no one made the bed. There's a nice table, a bit narrow, but has oodles of charging points. There's the air conditioning unit. It looked quite new and, as I said, was quite effective. There is a sliding door to the outside that is double glazed. But even so, the room was quite noisy. There was a fair bit of noise coming from the airport and the jets flying in and out of the airport, and noisy gardeners firing up at 7 a.m. in the morning, as well as the outside security door slamming multiple times throughout the day. The bedding was quite comfortable, a little bit soft for me, but perfect for Joe. Paper cups, plastic glasses. There is a coffee maker that makes okay coffee. And that mess is one charging station.
Two USBs.
2 USBs and 2 power outlets that are too small to put anything next to each other. So you're effectively down to one. And on one of the bedside tables, there's a cube with an alarm clock and a couple of USBs and a power outlet. Just barely enough for the both of us.
2 power outlets.
Yeah, just
they're
barely
small,
enough.
They fit this, but not the big ones.
No, be very hard to get anything next to it. There is a closet. That is a closet with an iron and ironing board. That is the bathroom. It's quite functional but small. There's a reasonable amount of bench space for all your personal items, but as you can see, the door is very close to the toilet, and you've really got to get out the way. And that is the shower with complimentary amenities. It's the shower. So, would I stay here again? Well, yes, I would. I'd give this hotel a solid rating of 3.5 out of 5. And if I was to stay here again, I'd ask for a room that was away from the end of the building complex so you don't get woken by the security door rattling at all hours of the night. The room, bed, air conditioning were all quite comfortable. The room was clean. The restaurant for breakfast and dinner was adequate. All in all, a pretty good stay. The only thing is that if you're sensitive to noise, I'd probably stay somewhere that was located well away from the airport, because the noise from the military jets in particular was quite noticeable, and it did impact our sleep a little bit, especially in the early mornings. I do hope you've liked this video. If so, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Hit that notify bell so you'll never miss another upcoming video. If you'd like to support my channel, please consider buying me a coffee or hit that super thanks button. My next video series will cover our travels in Arizona and Nevada in the USA, so look out for those videos. Until next time, you take care and bye now.